Hello, beautiful. I'm Felesha Love, your 2-minute manager, and thanks so much for joining me on Instagram and Facebook. I appreciate you liking and sharing the videos, and also thank you so much for your comments. And feel free to send me an email or a comment below on any social media. I would love to hear from you. Today I thought I'd dedicate the 5 love languages to February being Valentine's season. So you'll hear a little bit about how to love and be in love for the rest of the month. I wanted to introduce you to the 5 love languages. If you're not familiar with it, there's a book by Gary Chapman. And he also has a website that will allow you to do a quiz to find out what your love language is and what your children's love language, that's very helpful as well, and what your significant other's love language is, so that you can start to appear and to be more compassionate and also understand better how people function, how they click. That's really important in relationships. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, time is out for the hit and miss, for the guessing games as to how to please one another. Don't you think? I'd like to take that guessing game out of my relationships. In fact, I have. There are several, I can think of several different instances where, I messed up. I messed up in terms of relationship because I didn't understand the other person, and I didn't have the tools from which to pull from so that I could understand the other person. The 5 love languages is how I started to build healthier relationships. And of course, you don't know until you know, right? I love that quote by Oprah that says, and she actually quoted Maya Angelou by saying, you do better when you know better. And so we have to forgive ourselves for our past, right? So do that. Forgive yourself for your past and forgive yourself for not knowing, and just move forward. So let's get to it. The 5 love languages. They are physical touch, appropriate physical touch, I might add, quality time, service, gifts, and words of affirmation. So let's start with physical touch. I know for me, I learned that I was very uncomfortable in my relationships because there were things in my life that was not fulfilling. And it wasn't until I learned the 5 love languages that I began to understand myself better, in that I enjoy appropriate physical touch. I remember, even when I wasn't in a relationship, being very excited about going to church just to be hugged. Can you believe that? Can you think of an instance when you participated in an organization, or it could be church or anything, to where you had an opportunity to feel appropriate touch from another? For me, it was church. And it's really sad. I didn't realize that until, after I learned about the 5 love languages, that I was really yearning for physical touch. And you can be in a relationship and not really feel that connection, And you can't do anything about it until you understand that that's your need. That's what you need. And so then you can begin to talk to your partner about more, opportunities to give you an opportunity to be filled up, basically. And so physical touch could be, a hug. It could be a pat on the back. It could be just a hand on your hand to let you know that you're supported, those kinds of things, and even a kiss. So appropriate touch. Also, there's acts of service. Now, I have to tell you, we hear about acts of service in relationship all the time, and it's always connected to submissiveness. And there's something about that word that just drives some women crazy, and me included. But I started to educate myself about what was really meant by being submissive. And it's really just acts of service. That's all it is. It doesn't mean that you are expected to become a slave to someone else, because that was what I was thinking. I was like, oh no, honey, not me. But when I began to understand that in relationship, there is a give and take. There is an expectation of you serving me and me serving you. So, in a healthy relationship, as long as it's not crossing those boundaries of service, where you feel like you're a slave to the other person, then that's an unhealthy relationship. And you should start asking yourself more questions about how your comfort zone and what can change or be altered so that you can feel more comfortable in that service. If you're anything like I am, when there's a high expectation to do something that you love to do, then it takes all the fun out of it, right? So acts of service could look like, providing breakfast on Sunday morning. It could also look like, picking up the laundry off the floor and actually putting it in the washing machine and washing it. It could look like buying takeout because you both have had a really busy day. Acts of service for children. It could look like asking them to do the same, picking up their clothes. This is one way to show mommy that you really love and appreciate her. Could you please pick up your clothes, your toys? That's my washing machine. Clothes your toys off of the floor. That would make mommy feel so supported and loved. And so when you start to communicate that to your family members, your children, your significant other, you will be amazed that you will start to feel more appreciated, and they will start to understand how you function better. And the same for you toward them. So we've covered acts of service and appropriate physical touch. Now let's direct our attention to affirmations. When we think about affirmations, we think about someone having to constantly tell you you're great, you're wonderful, you're loved, I need you, I appreciate you, and all of that's great. However, when there's an expectation that you do it all the time, it can become burdensome for the person that's giving you the affirmations. So my encouragement to you, in order to keep a healthy relationship, and if you know that that's your love language, don't expect just one source to give that to you, because when you do, you burden them with what your need is. Does that make sense? So, I'm here for you as a life coach, and also with the 2-Minute Manager, which is absolutely free. I give that from my heart to yours because, these are tools that help me, and I'm just hoping that it will help someone out there who's listening and watching. So start to look for resources from which to pull affirmations. I know churches do it all the time with their inspirational talks and things like that. So that's a resource. I am absolutely a resource as a life coach and a 2-Minute Manager, as I just said. And so there are a lot of others out there. As a matter of fact, I use plenty on YouTube to lift me up, because I have to tell you, I do this because of the love of it, not because I am superior at it, because life happens to me just like it happens to you. So that's affirmations. Then let's talk about, we talked about service, affirmations, wait a minute, service, affirmations, physical touch, and then there is quality time. What does quality time mean? I know for some people, especially those professional clients that I have, they feel like quality time is enough. I've given you a whole day or a half a day of attention to where I am home, so that should be enough quality time to fill the void. I'm here to tell you it is not. You can be physically present and absent at the same time. So quality time means that you are giving your significant other or your children or your parent or whomever your undivided attention. That means that you're not on the phone, you're not texting, you're not multitasking. You are giving yourself fully, mindfully, physically present to that person. So let's talk about, for those of you who are professionals that don't have a lot of time to, give quality time. I have heard of a lot of success when I tell clients to just designate one day from which they will draw 2 hours to completely dedicate to that person. 1 day a week, 2 hours, complete dedication. That speaks volumes to you coming in late from work, not being able to give service to those that you love. You're not present there to handle the day-to-day or to transport, from one place to another, be it children's transporting or, taking your significant other to work, that kind of thing. Actually, that's a wonderful way to spend quality time, is to commute, believe it or not, to carpool, and dedicate that time to your significant other on the drive. It's a beautiful way to fill in that gap if you're just pressed for time. And lastly, we'll talk about gifts. Now, gifts in terms of the 5 love languages can speak to those people who, don't shop for themselves very frequently and they like nice things. It could also speak to, I know my heart would be filled up when I would get a gift from my child from arts and crafts, something that was dedicated to mom. It just made me feel wonderful, especially for special occasions like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and Christmas, something like that. Oh, I love those. So gifts can be anything from you taking the time to see perhaps what could use embroidery. It could be a favorite jacket of your significant other, and you take that jacket and you put their favorite slogan on it or their name on it. And when I say their favorite slogan, don't go get their expensive leather jacket and put across the back, "I am the boss." Don't do that. You'll ruin the jacket. If that is their favorite phrase, put it on the inside to where they're the only ones that know about it, okay? But gifts. So that can span, there's many different ways to give a gift. A gift can be just, a word of encouragement even. So spend some time thinking about what you need today to fill yourself up with the 5 love languages. I'm willing to bet that there is something that is missing in your life. And it's true, because life is fluid. Life is not rigid. It is fluid. So we're not always filled up, but we are constantly reminded that there are areas from which we can improve. I hope this helped you. I'm Felesha Love. I'm your 2-minute manager, providing those My Spirit Fitness Wellness Moment shows to radio and TV, giving 2 minutes of edutainment is what I'd like to call it, to encourage people, inspire them, and to help us all improve upon a life that lends itself more to better quality of life. There's always a place to improve. And also, I'd love you to join me on Instagram and Facebook as your 2-minute manager, giving you some of those tidbits. And I will see you next time. Be well.